What is going on, guys? Welcome to another Plants vs Zombies Garden Warfare video, and today I'm going to be talking about the worst characters in my opinion. Just remember, this is my opinion of the worst characters in Plants vs Zombies Garden Warfare. Now, you guys loved my top 5 favourite characters, so you did ask for the top 5 worst favourite characters, but I found it really hard to just pick the worst 5. I didn't want to give some stick to other characters that aren't as bad as the worst 5, so what I've done is I've decided to pick the worst one from each class. So I've got the worst one from the Pea Shooter, Chomper, Sunflower, Cactus, etc, and same for the zombie side. So what I'm going to be doing is telling you which one I think is the worst in that class. I'm going to be telling you why, and I will also maybe have some way of saying how it could possibly be improved. So that is what I'm going to be doing in this video, so make sure you do stick around to watch it, and the link will be in the description to my top 5 best characters if you haven't already seen that. And if you do want to smash that like button, we got over 100 likes in the first 24 hours of the top 5 favourite characters, so if we could get something similar to that, that would be absolutely amazing. But anyway, let us get straight into this video. So for the worst Pea Shooter I think in the game, that is the Berry Pea Shooter. Now, a lot of people might be thinking the Commando Pea Shooter is quite bad, but the Commando Pea Shooter does about 20 damage, the Berry Shooter does about 35, but also remember has the biggest splash damage out of them all. The only thing that lets this character down is the rate of fire is so slow. It gets me in so many pickles, like I could be shooting an engineer or something, and because they fire much quicker than me, they kill me so much quicker. They do about the same damage, if not more, than the Berry Shooter, but fire quicker. And the Berry Shooter used to be overpowered, but then they did nerf it and reduce the splash damage, and also I believe they may have reduced the rate of fire as well. But what I think could be improved for the Berry Shooter, if they do these, just remember that they are going to try and balance out the game as much as possible. I think if they increase the rate of fire for the Berry Shooter just a tiny little bit, it will make it a lot better of a character. But there is the worst Pea Shooter, I think, the Berry Pea Shooter. Now, the worst Chomper I think in the game is Chomper. This is the newest character that we got in the Legends of the Lawn DLC, and for the straight reason that he does basically no damage whatsoever compared to the rest of the Chompers that spray. Of course, the Chomper can swallow and burrow and get enemies killed that way, but it does also have a spray which doesn't do that much damage at all. Every other type of Chomper I think does more damage over a period of time, much quicker than Chomper, and also he does only have 125 health, which isn't much at all. And the special thing about Chomper is he enters his regeneration stage much faster, although that is what the bio said, but I honestly don't see much difference in when this regenerates health compared to the other ones. So I think the Chomper needs, one, either have more health or do regenerate much faster than what he does, or give him more damage, because Chomper right now is just the worst character in the game in my opinion. Well, not the worst character in the game, but definitely the worst Chomper. So there is your worst Chomper in my opinion, Chomper. Now, the worst Sunflower in my opinion is the Mystic Flower. This is very similar to the Plasma Pea and Future Cactus, where you can do single shot bursts, or you can charge up an attack to get a more damaged attack, although it does take a period of time to charge up, and you cannot move very fast when you are charging your attack. Now, keep in mind the Mystic Flower does only have 100 health, compared to the Future Cactus does have more than that, so while you are charging your ability up, the Future Cactus will be able to withstand more bullets to have a better chance of surviving. But just in general, I find that the Mystic Flower, it just doesn't do enough damage for the single shot weapons. You have to be very accurate, and also I believe that the icon what you are shooting from, I think it just takes up too much space, and it's really hard to get a lot of shots on target. I find myself getting less critical hits with this Sunflower than any other Sunflower in the game, as well as the charged attack I believe only does 69 damage as well, similar to the Future Cactus, yes, but from the Future Cactus can zoom in further, so you can be more accurate with your shots, because if you miss with the Mystic Flower, that means you either have to charge up again or just try and take out the enemy with your single shot weapon, which is not automatic, just remember that. So that is why I think the Mystic Flower isn't the best. The way it could be improved is maybe have it charge up quicker, or maybe have it fire slightly faster on the single shot weapon, but that is what I think, and that is the worst Sunflower in my opinion, the Mystic Flower. And the worst cactus in my opinion is the Camel Cactus. Now, I know a lot of you guys are fans of the Camel Cactus, but just me, in my opinion, I just hate this cactus. This cactus, in my opinion, is just the worst one to use out of them all. One, it only has 6 bullets. it does either 33 damage or 66 for a critical, so if you don't get that critical shot, 33 damage is absolutely nothing. Normal cactuses can do that damage as well, and I just feel like with the rate of fire, you can do more damage, if not exactly the same, with other cactuses, but like I said, it's only got 6 bullets in its clip, so it does not do as much as what it used to. It used to be very good and do, I believe it was 66 for a non-critical and 88 for a critical. I believe it was that, but don't count me. And that was a great improvement, but apparently it was overpowered. But I think with how hard it is to aim with this cactus, as well as the slow rate of fire and only 6 bullets, it is not a very good cactus to use, especially in the situations I like to be in as a cactus. So that is why I think it is the worst one. But to get it improved, either give it more bullets in its clip or give it a larger rate of fire. I wouldn't really say increase the damage, because then that would be overpowered, but if you give it maybe a slight increase in the rate of fire or put more bullets in its clip, that would definitely help. But there is the worst cactus I think in the game, the Camel Cactus. Moving over to the zombies team, I think that the worst foot soldier in the game currently is the Arctic Trooper. Now there are multiple reasons why I think this is the case, but what I'm going to say is that it was a toss-up between the Arctic Trooper and the General Supremo of which one was going to be the worst. The reason I don't like the General Supremo is, one, the damage isn't as good, and I find myself with the reload of foot soldiers not being much of a case, so that bonus does not add that much difference to me as a player. But also the fact that you cannot jump around when you are shooting is a big issue for me, seeing as I like to kind of hip fire but jump around when I am the foot soldier. So that is why the General Supremo was a toss up between the Arctic Trooper. But the reason why the Arctic Trooper is the worst in my opinion is, one, there are foot soldiers that have better damage, but also the freezing effect that the Arctic Trooper has I find to be almost pointless, because the amount of bullets it takes to freeze a plant, you almost kill them anyway, so I find the freeze quite pointless really. The way I could think it could be increased is if they had it so it freezed in less bullets. That is what I think the only way that this Arctic Trooper could possibly be increased, because I don't think increasing the damage would be a smart move to make, but maybe increase it so they can be frozen slightly quicker, because I find myself killing the plant before they ended up getting freezed anyway, so the freeze bonus does not really add much of a difference. That's in my opinion anyway, so there is the worst foot soldier, the Arctic Trooper. Now the worst scientist in my opinion is Dr. Toxic. The reason for this is he only has 6 bullets in his clip and does not do much damage at a distance. Yes, he does a decent amount of damage at close range, but doesn't every scientist? And there is a toxic effect that you do add onto the enemy plants, but it's not really that much. It's 2 for every few seconds for lasting for a certain amount of seconds, which I don't think is much. So I think maybe the way the Dr. Toxic could be improved is, 1, up close damage I wouldn't really think would be the best thing to do, because a lot of scientists do a lot of up close damage and people kind of complain at it, but yes, that is what the scientist is meant to do. What I think would be the best option to do is, 1, give him more bullets so he has more than 6 in the clip, and also increase the damage, maybe increase it so it does more over a distance. That is what I think will be the best way to make Dr. Toxic live up to the standards of the rest of the scientists, but in my opinion I think he is the worst one, so there is my worst scientist in the game, Dr. Toxic. Moving on to the worst engineer, it was hard to pick one that was particularly worse than the rest, because some of them play completely different to other ones, some have effects, some don't, and I just found it to be really hard to pick one that was the worst one, but I have come up with the Landscaper. The reason for this is, if you do not know, you can hold the trigger down and it will keep automatically firing out its weapon until it needs to reload, similar to the Astronaut, apart from the rate of fire is slower, so just remember that, and the damage is okay as well, but I just think that the rate of fire could be increased just a tiny bit more. I find it harder to aim with the Landscaper than other engineers. I don't know why, that just seems to be the case, and also the splash damage isn't as much as most engineers as well, so just keep that in mind as well. But overall, most of the engineers are good characters to use. I don't use them much in particular, but I just think they are a good character to use, and there is not much difference between each of the characters in which one is worse than the other one, so that is why I just picked the Landscaper. I had to pick one, so I did pick the Landscaper, so that is the worst engineer in my opinion, the Landscaper. And moving over to the worst all-star in the game, without a doubt, in my opinion, I think it is the Rugby Star. Now, I did see someone comment why you would pick the Rugby Star over the Wrestling Star, because they have basically the same amount of damage, because they do a high amount of damage compared to the rest of the all-stars but have a slower rate of fire. But the Wrestling Star does about the same damage but fires much faster than the Rugby Star, so I thought, why would we even use the Rugby Star? And I found out that the Rugby Star has a slight splash damage, so if you do not hit the target but it lands on the floor near them, you will cause some damage. Now yes, that is a good thing to add. Apart from that, the splash damage 1 is only about 4, and 2, when I'm playing as the All-Star, I don't tend to be aiming for the plant's feet. I seem to be aiming around the head area anyway, so even if it did miss them, it would not land around them anyway, and the Rugby Star has a really slow rate of fire compared to the rest of them, so I find this to be clearly the worst the worst All-Star in the game. What you could possibly do is increase its rate of fire slightly, or maybe give it more splash damage, because the splash damage isn't much anyway, but when you are playing as the All-Star, you don't tend to aim for the feet. If you are the Pea Shooter, you aim more towards the feet, because you know if you miss your shot then it can be costly, because you have to keep pressing that. But the Rugby Star is automatic, but yes, does have a slower rate of fire, but I just find it to be a terrible character to use, and don't know why anyone would ever use it in the game, because the splash damage does not make up for the slowest rate of fire out of all the All-Stars. But anyway, hopefully you did find this video interesting. These are just the worst character category, the worst characters in each category for me. Hopefully you did enjoy it. Leave a like if you did, and subscribe if you are new to my channel, and also comment down below what other type of videos like this you would like to see. My name is FUSIONZ, and I'll catch you guys next time.